If you've been following my videos for a while, you probably know that I'm a big fan of trading supply and demand. But here's the thing. Sometimes, even when you spot what looks like the perfect setup, the price does the complete opposite. It looks like it's heading straight for your target, and then suddenly, it reverses, like it hit an invisible wall. I've been caught in that trap before, and honestly, it's one of the most frustrating things in trading. But what if I told you that many of those reversals actually come from hidden supply and demand zones on different time frames that you just didn't see? That's why, today, I want to share with you an indicator that has completely changed the way I trade supply and demand, the Multi-Timeframe Supply and Demand Indicator by Smart Algo. Trust me, this tool makes spotting key zones so much easier and way more accurate. Now, full disclaimer, this is an invite-only indicator on TradingView. If you guys want to try it out for yourself, I've dropped a link in the description below where you can get access. So, how does this indicator actually work? Let's break it down. When you first drop this indicator onto your chart, the first thing you'll notice is that it automatically highlights supply and demand zones for you. No need to manually draw boxes or guess where the zones are. The tool does it instantly. It's all right there on your screen, ready to go. The beauty of this tool is that it doesn't just draw supply and demand zones on the time frame you're trading. It also lets you see zones from higher time frames instantly. For example, if you're trading the 15-minute chart, you can quickly switch and see which zones were created on the 1 hour, the 4 hour, or even the daily chart. Why is that so powerful? Because higher time frames almost always dominate lower ones. If you're planning to buy on the 15-minute chart, but there's a strong supply zone sitting on the 1 hour, chances are that price won't have enough momentum to break through it. Instead, it'll respect that higher time frame zone and reverse. And that's exactly why many traders get caught taking losses. They only look at the small picture and miss the bigger zones. Here's a great example. Imagine you spot a clean long setup on the 15-minute chart. Everything looks perfect. But when you change the indicator setting to the 1 hour supply and demand zones, you see that price is literally sitting right under a major supply zone. That's a clear warning sign that your long might get crushed. Instead of forcing the buy, you could flip your bias, wait for the retest of that supply, and catch a massive short instead. Now let's talk about the other side of it, smaller time frame zones. This is where scalpers and day traders really benefit. Let's say price is stuck between a demand and a supply zone on the 15-minute chart. You're not sure which way it'll break. If you drop down to the 5-minute or even the 1-minute, the indicator will show you those smaller supply and demand levels that can help fine-tune your entries. That way, you can either catch the move early or wait for a proper retest with much better precision. To put it simply, this one indicator saves you a ton of charting time and gives you a huge edge by letting you see the full supply and demand picture across multiple timeframes in seconds. Let me show you how I'd actually trade with this. Here we're on the 15-minute chart and price looks like it's in a bullish structure. The indicator has already marked a fresh demand zone below the current price. Normally, I'd be tempted to enter a buy straight away, but here's the trick. I quickly switch the indicator to show me the zones on the 1 hour time frame, and guess what? The 1 hour chart also shows a strong demand zone lining up at the exact same area. That's double confirmation. Price retraces, taps into the zone, and this becomes my entry point for a buy. My stop loss is just below the demand zone, and for take profit, I can either target the next supply zone above or go for a fixed 1 to 2 risk to reward. As you can see, price reacts perfectly from the higher time frame demand zone, and the trade pushes into profit. Now let's flip it and look at a sell example. This time, we're still on the 15-minute chart, and I see what looks like a clean breakout upwards. But before I chase it, I check the 4-hour supply zones with the indicator. And right there, sitting above, is a massive supply zone from the higher time frame. So instead of buying the breakout, I wait. Price pushes into that 4-hour supply, rejects hard, and now I've got a much safer short entry. My stop loss goes just above the supply zone, and for take profit, I can aim for the nearest demand zone, or simply trail the position. Once again, higher time frame supply and demand completely changes the perspective of this trade. Without it, I might have taken a long and lost. With it, I flip to a short and catch the move down. So that's how I use this multi-time frame supply and demand indicator to find safer and higher probability trades. Honestly, it saves me a ton of time because I don't need to manually draw zones on every single time frame. It's all done for me. So if you guys want to try it out, you'll need a TradingView account and access to the indicator. I've dropped a link down in the description below where you can get access and test it for yourself. Remember, the higher time frame zones will always dominate the lower ones, so never ignore them. Use this indicator to line up your zones, plan your entries, and manage your risk properly. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to smash that like button if you haven't already. Drop a comment to let me know how you'd use this indicator in your trading, and of course subscribe so you don't miss the next strategy breakdown. As always, trade smart, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.